Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a real investigative journey straight into the heart of academic research. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer volume of scientific papers out there, or, if you're gearing up to write your own research project and you honestly just don't know where to start, well, you're in exactly the right place. So, grab your magnifying glass, because today we are mastering the literature review.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What is the single most critical question you need to ask yourself before you start literally any research project? Has someone already answered your research question? And if they have, what do they find? Finding the answer to this is the entire point of a literature review. Because look, before you spend months in a lab or sweating out in the field, you really need to know if you're actually adding something brand new to human knowledge or if you're just repeating history.
To demystify all this, we're going to break it down into 4 highly organized chapters. 1. The motive. 2. Gathering evidence. 3. Building the case file. And 4. Ethical reporting.
Starting with Section 1, the motive. Why literature reviews matter.
I want you to think of yourself as a detective arriving at a crime scene. Your literature review provides that absolutely essential context. It's an organized summary and evaluation of existing studies related to a research question. But notice what it's not. It is definitely not just a chaotic pile of unrelated summaries pasted one after another. That is a trap so many early researchers fall into. A truly excellent review tells a compelling narrative. It maps out a story for the reader. Here's what we already know as a scientific community. Here is what is still entirely unclear. And here, right at this specific gap, is exactly where your new study fits in.
So why do we actually put ourselves through this grueling process? Well, doing this prevents you from wasting precious time and resources repeating a study that's already been done 100 times. It acts as a guide, showing you which research methods actually worked in the past and, just as importantly, which ones failed. It's also your armor. It helps you defend your specific research design when your examiners inevitably ask you, why did you do it this way and not another way? Plus, it naturally builds a highly credible reference list that's going to back up your own findings later on. Moving on to Section 2, Gathering Evidence. Searching and judging your sources.
All right, now that we have our motive, we need to gather the evidence. But be careful here, not all sources carry the same weight. We absolutely must understand the critical distinction between primary and secondary literature. Primary literature consists of original research reports written by the exact people who performed the study, like, say, a brand new survey on antimicrobial susceptibility. Secondary literature, on the other hand, summarizes or interprets those primary studies. Think textbooks, clinical guidelines, or review articles. And while textbooks are fantastic for background, your examiners are going to demand to see primary research in your review. They want hard proof that you've actually read the original data, not just someone else's summary of it.
So where do you actually find this premium evidence? You kind of need to rank these sources in your head before you even crack open your laptop. PubMed is generally your best starting point for health and medical sciences. It's free, and it indexes almost all biomedical journals. Google Scholar is incredibly broad and accessible, but you really have to be careful and verify that the results are actually peer-reviewed. Then you've got regional repositories like AJOL, that's African Journals Online, and university libraries, which are absolute gold mines for local prevalence data. And of course, the big players, highly respected peer-reviewed journals like The Lancet or African Health Sciences.
Now, I know that staring at a search results page with 100,000 hits can cause some serious anxiety. To filter out the weak or even predatory evidence, you have to interrogate your sources. Just ask yourself these specific questions. Has it been peer-reviewed by other experts? Is it recent? For fast-moving fields like antibiotic resistance, anything older than 5 to 10 years might already be obsolete. Is the sample size actually relevant to your population? Did they use sound methodology? And critically, does the journal actually look legitimate? Or is it a predatory journal that just publishes anything for a quick fee?
Section 3, building the case file. Organizing with a matrix.
Okay, you survived the search phase, and now you might have 20 or 30 amazing articles cluttering up your desktop. It is physically impossible to hold all of that information in your head. So here is the ultimate investigator's framework for breaking down a literal mountain of reading. Step 1. Collect your articles, anywhere from 3 to 15 or more, depending on your project size. Step 2. And this is a massive time saver. Read the abstracts first to quickly judge relevance. Step 3. Highlight the key points: author, publication year, methods, and main findings. Step 4. Summarize all of this into a literature matrix. And Step 5. Group your studies by major themes instead of just passively listing them chronologically.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we mean.
A literature matrix is essentially a single table with one row per article and columns for your vital data. By putting Okike from 2021 right next to Musa from 2020 with their methods and key findings neatly summarized side by side, you create the ultimate life hack. I mean it, this will literally save you hours of frustration when you finally sit down to write your paper.
This matrix format is exactly what builds your critical analysis skills. Because critical review isn't just summarizing, right? It's comparing. Imagine Study A finds 70% of participants self-medicate, but Study B finds only 30%. Why the massive contradiction? Well, by looking at your matrix, you can investigate. Maybe Study A had a sample size of 1,000 adults in a rural area, while Study B only surveyed 50 teenagers in a big city. Analyzing contradictions like this regarding sample sizes, geography, and time periods is exactly what elevates your review from a high school book report to true academic research.
Oh, and I absolutely have to drop this pro tip right here. Please install a reference manager immediately. Tools like Zotero or Mendeley are completely free. They save citations to your library as you browse the web, and they will automatically format your entire reference list when you're ready to publish. It completely eliminates the absolute nightmare of manual formatting. Trust me on this one, future you is going to be very grateful.
Section 4. Ethical Reporting. The Plagiarism Trap.
We do need to shift gears for a second to address plagiarism. It's academic theft, and it can literally ruin your career. Let's say you found this brilliant sentence in a journal article by a researcher named Okafor. It perfectly describes the problem of multi-drug resistance. So how do we properly use this information without stealing it? Let's look closely at a quick, dramatic mini-arc of how people get this wrong, and then how to get it right.
So, the crucial point here is understanding why both of these common methods are strictly forbidden. The first one's obvious, right? Copying and pasting the exact sentence without quotation marks is just blatant plagiarism. But look at the second approach, the word swap. Someone takes the original sentence, changes risen sharply to increased greatly, and swaps past decade for last 10 years. The verdict? This is still plagiarism. Why? Because the underlying sentence structure and the intellectual framework remain entirely unchanged. It is a very sneaky form of academic theft.
Okay, let's resolve that tension. Here is a perfect example of a true paraphrase. Notice how the sentence has been completely rebuilt from the ground up, using an entirely new structure and phrasing. But more importantly, notice the immediate citation right at the beginning, according to Okafor et al. 2021. This honors the original author's idea while presenting it in your own unique academic voice.
To keep your academic integrity perfectly intact, always follow these core rules. Paraphrase effectively using your own structure. Use direct quotations very sparingly, like only when the original wording is absolutely irreplaceable. Cite your sources immediately in the same paragraph. Always run your drafts through a plagiarism checker before submission. And the golden rule, when in doubt, cite. It is far, far better to oversight your evidence than to ever face accusations of stealing someone else's hard work.
And just to ensure your final reporting is completely flawless, be aware of the referencing style your specific institution requires. The two major ones are APA and Vancouver. APA uses the author date method in parentheses, which is heavily favored in the social sciences. Vancouver uses a numerical superscript method, those little numbers at the end of a sentence that correspond to a numbered list at the very end of your paper, and that one is widely preferred in the medical and health sciences for its clean efficiency. And that brings us to the end of our investigation. We've covered the motive, we've gathered the evidence, built our matrix, and learned exactly how to report ethically. So I leave you with this final, provocative thought. Now that you actually have the tools to map out all the existing evidence in the world, what remaining gap in human knowledge are you uniquely positioned to fill? Your research journey starts right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to see what you discover.